I feel like it's over, fam. I feel like new prequel era stories are gone. I'll never forget the first day that I saw The Phantom Menace inside the theaters, and I remember that cinematic experience for the rest of my entire life. But I feel like with the final season of The Bad Batch here, and that story is ending, so too are all the other prequel era stories, at least news stories, and specifically animated stories because The Bad Batch is ending. There isn't really a guarantee for season 2 of Tales of the Jedi Order to take place inside the prequel era as well. It just seems like it's all coming to an end. And yes, The Phantom Menace is going to be returning to theaters for its anniversary, and I'm super freaking excited about that because I can't wait to buy another poster, just like the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi poster that I have behind me. I'm a huge fan of collecting that art. But man, what's gonna happen with our characters? I feel like that entire era of Star Wars stories gave birth to a new generation of Star Wars fans. And of course, that's always going to happen with generational stories, even with the sequel trilogy. Fans grow up and they end up adoring all of the Star Wars stories from their generation, which is why myself and so many other fans appreciate the expanded universe so much, as well as Legends continuity. The original trilogy is one thing. You know, that's the story that started it all. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Tatooine, the Empire. Yes, we all know and love the original trilogy. But I feel like the prequel era, because of the modern era that it had come in, there were so many projects, video games, books, comics. Everyone was talking about The Phantom Menace when it had come out, whether you loved it or you hated it. And then of course Attack of the Clones, and then my favorite movie of all time, Revenge of the Sith. And even to this day, I will always talk about how important Revenge of the Sith was for me as a Star Wars fan. But the one thing that's terrifying me the most is how often that we see characters that we love, whether it's from a certain era of Star Wars. I feel like there's a lot of characters that we may not ever see again for quite some time. You know, when you think about characters like Captain Rex, we always hoped for the idea that Captain Rex was on the Battle of Endor in Return of the Jedi. But that's only after so many years of watching Clone Wars and then getting a continuity book from a certain point of view story that maybe gives us a hint of whether or not he was on that battle. I feel that way about majority of the Bad Batch, including Hunter and Crosshair, and Echo and Omega, and of course Wrecker. But the thing is with those characters, I don't know who's going to survive. And I feel like a lot of them are going to die or end up worse, including Omega, because she's not even thought about through the entire original trilogy and anything in the Mandoverse. So that begs the question, what is going to happen? And that's not a plot hole because we don't know the answers to that story. We haven't seen anything fleshed out yet beyond the Bad Batch. There's always hope that these characters will come back. There's always hope that the stories will continue. With given the right circumstances and the right writing and the right people on the project, it will be a good story because it's already had so much before it to help it create something noteworthy, something worthy of your time and consideration to absorb the story once again. I guess when I really think about it, a lot of this emotion comes from Hayden Christensen and Anakin Skywalker. I'll never forget how he wanted to voice the characters in the Clone Wars animated series, but never got the call. I don't even think he was even told. And then fast forward so many years, we finally get him again in the Kenobi series, as well as Ian McGregor. And yes, as time goes on, there's a looming threat of our actors, our favorite Star Wars actors, no longer able to play the characters that we all love so much, including Carl Weathers. And Carl Weathers' death is hitting me so damn hard because I know it's not going to be the only one in the future. Even though he was only in Star Wars for a short time, The Mandalorian is so important to me, and now every single time I will go back and watch those episodes, I will always think about what if and what's going to happen now. But also characters from Ahsoka as well, with Baylan Skoll and Ray Stevenson. As time goes on, you see people die. As time goes on, you see these characters no longer able to be in live action. Of course, there's the animated roles and there's the expanded universe, but for the respect and the sake of the careers of the actors that are no longer with us, I feel like these things are going to be stuck frozen in time. And while the Bad Batch has ended, I guess me as a fan, I'm terrified of the idea of never seeing them again, never hearing anything again. And there's a lot of characters, both in Legends continuity as well as the current Star Wars canon, that really haven't had anything beyond one little showing in a movie or a video game or some random comic that nobody's gonna read. And I guess it's because I know the pain and the feeling of seeing that happen already, especially with Hayden Christensen and his performance with Anakin Skywalker. I'll never forget seeing so many YouTube comments when YouTube was finally a thing, and you see all the Star Wars forums from back in the day, about so many people were so divisive about Hayden Christensen and his performance as Anakin Skywalker. It didn't matter what age group you were, people had something to say about his portrayal of their favorite character, Darth Vader. And it doesn't matter whether the actor is alive or dead. There's a very good chance that this actor will never play this character again. And that's, to me, one of the most tragic things about media in the industry. If people don't like it, if it's not bringing in that massive revenue check filled with profit, you're never going to hear from or see those characters again. I don't know what's going to happen in this final season of The Bad Batch, but I hope Hunter survives, as well as the rest of the Bad Batch crew. But the person I fear for the most is Crosshair. He's by far the most compelling and entertaining character for me. It's not even close. Every episode with this dude, every single piece of dialogue that he has just feels like it's completely different from the rest of the series. And now to see where his character arc went in the previous season and where it's going in the finale, I am terrified. I am so damn worried that this dude is not going to last throughout this entire season. But I hope I'm wrong, fam, and I hope that we do get to see more Star Wars stories from all eras. Yeah, absolutely, some areas are way more fleshed out than others. Whether you like the stories, whether you like the characters or not, there's always going to be a new generation of Star Wars fans that wants to see more. And I hope for their sake, they don't have to live with the same amount of time that it took us to see someone like Hayden Christensen and Ian McGregor to reprise these roles of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. At the end of the day, fam, I love Star Wars, and that's all I want to do is freaking talk about it and have all of you subscribe to this channel for more. I'll see you around, fam. Deuces.